Hi, I wanted to update you on what's been going on. It's been a very active week. As you'll recall, last week I think I mentioned our Safe Restart Agreement for municipalities and the $4 billion in funding that was allotted for that. It's an agreement with the federal government. And this week we announced that the first round of the emergency funding for that is being allotted to various municipalities. Mayor Tory had actually mentioned that he's quite happy with the TTC allotment of $404 million in this round of funding, and we know that the TTC obviously is very important to all of us here in the center of the City of Toronto. Making sure people can get around is critical, and so I know that that funding will go a long way to meeting some of the needs that Toronto has expressed during this time. There's also additional money for social services and for operating funding in there for the City of Toronto, so that hopefully will help municipalities continue to provide the critical services that they do, and it was an important announcement. The total allocation for Toronto in this round is $550 million. I also joined the Premier and the Minister of Long-Term Care, Marilee Fullerton, and all other colleagues as the Ontario government announced the building of a new long-term care home at the Humber River Hospital Finch site, which will happen in months and not years. And that's because it's part of our pilot accelerated build program. And it's very exciting. It's going to be another 320 new long-term care beds, which are desperately needed in Toronto by the end of next year, which is pretty amazing, by the end of 2021. Ontario and the federal government also have a funding arrangement of $234.6 million to help keep children in daycares. It's for extra cleaning supplies, personal protective equipment, and things like that to make sure that kids in early years programs and licensed childcare have what they need for making sure the place is clean for COVID-19. So that's great. Also, $6 million was announced for closed circuit television cameras, CCTV, for use as a tool to help against gun and gang violence. And I've had a couple of calls from people concerned about gun and gang violence in the area. And I can assure you that we're on top of this. We've already put a lot of funding into it. This is another announcement. And I personally have reached out to all of the local police departments to ask them about the situation and what they're doing about it, to make sure that that we stay on top of it locally as well, because I think it's very important that we do. We want to have a safe community. All of these supports, of course, come at a cost, and our Minister of Finance, Rod Phillips, announced this week during our quarterly fiscal update for 2020-21 that the cost is some $38.5 billion deficit, which is the projected deficit for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. It's mostly because of COVID-19 related costs, almost entirely, I guess. As you've seen, more money has been put into healthcare, put into supporting people, jobs, and businesses. I think everybody agrees that these are necessary expenses to keep the economy going, but they are significant expenses, and so we are hoping that we'll be able to get the economy going and get these things paid off as soon as possible, so we don't have such a large debt and deficit. But as our Premier has said, the important thing is the health and well-being of all Ontarians, and we'll do everything we can to ensure that we support that. Thanks very much. Look forward to speaking with you next week.